okay to do? Does this thing go up? Oh, it does. Sure. Perfect. Well, guys, give yourselves a round of applause. You actually made it here. I'm glad that you're here. I want to say I'm grateful to be here for a lot of reasons, but let me tell you probably the biggest one. And then we're going to have a little fun tonight. But, I've had a privilege over a number of years to speak to men like you and do things like this. But one of the things that I'm grateful for is I believe I need to be here this weekend. And I don't know if you feel like you do, but I know I do. And I don't believe it's accidental that I'm here. I told some men earlier, some of the guys are going to help facilitate some of the small groups, that when I feel led to do something like this, I don't feel it's one way. And so we're brothers more than we're anything else. I'm not some speaker. I don't want to just be a speaker. As I have a family, I get lonely. I laugh. I'm hoping to play golf tomorrow. I got to do what you do. Like we all do life, right? And so I want you to know I'm one of you. And all I'm trying to do this weekend is give some things to you that some people have given to me, and that I've kind of tried and tested out on the road of life, and some things maybe the Lord's added to me how you doing, Andrew? Let's get Andrew. Man, thank you. But to just maybe offer some things to you that I think will help you and be challenged. But here's what I will say this. I'll be right up front. I have no interest, none, in having this be a nice little time where we go home and go, wasn't that a great weekend? Let's do it again next year. I have no interest in my life of going to one more Bible study and my life not changing, but you just feel good because you went to a Bible study. I have no interest in that. And here's why. I'm playing the back nine. I'm not going to get to do this thing called my life over again in 61 years. I'll be the oldest person to ever live on the planet. Within the last 200 years if that happens. I don't think that's going to go down. And so I'm very serious about my life and my moments and what they're given to. Let me give you an illustration. How many of you in this room, if I said, look, I'll give you $100, I'll send it to you as quickly as possible Monday, if you could email me any confirmation that you've thought about your retirement, 401k, Roth IRA, any pieces of paper that could prove you thought at all about a retirement plan at any level. How many of you can do that? You guys can do this? A number of you guys are. Almost everybody in this room? And what if I said this? I'll give you $500 if you have something written down that shows the kind of man you want to be and the mark you want to leave when you die. There's just a couple. And here's why I have something like that. Because 40 years ago, somebody that was ahead of me in the game of life sat my rear end down. And he goes, I'm going to help you think about the greatest thing that you have in your life, which is your life. Socrates said this, that the unexamined life is not worth living. And I know a lot of people, here's what they're doing. They don't examine their life, they just live it. I cannot tell you the men that I know that kind of are in marriages, and when they start blowing up, here's what they'll say to me. Hey, Goody, I don't know how it happened. I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong. I mean, really? Like, this is your marriage. You actually live in the same four walls with this person, and you don't know what went wrong? Well, I was kind of sensing some stuff was not quite right, but I got a lot of stuff going on. I want you guys to know I lived in Northern Virginia from 81 to 87. I was born in Falls Church. I get Northern Virginia lifestyle. It's insane. I know it took a lot for you guys to get here. You're taking a chunk of your life that's unrepeatable to be here this weekend. I have no idea what the Lord wants to do with you, but I know this. He did not want you to take an unrepeatable chunk of your life, drive to some crazy camp where you have to sleep in a bunk and listen to some dudes snore for nothing. I just did this 2 weeks ago with a bunch of men I'm working with. So be encouraged. And I want to have us do something in just a minute, but I want to read you something, just maybe it's a little fun. Maybe this epitomizes where you're at right now. Listen to this. It goes, Chippy the parakeet never saw it coming. 1 second, he was peacefully perched in his cage, and the next minute he was sucked in, washed up, and blown over. See, Chippy's problems began when Chippy's owner decided to clean Chippy's cage with a vacuum cleaner. She removed the attachment on the end of the hose and stuck it in the cage. Then the phone rang, and she turned to pick it up. She barely said hello, and so Chippy got sucked in. The bird owner gasped. She put down the phone, turned off the vacuum, and opened the bag, and there was Chippy, still alive, but somewhat stunned. Since the bird was covered with dust and soot, she then grabbed him and raced to the bathroom, turned on the faucet, and held Chippy under the running water. And then, realizing that Chippy was soaked and shivering, she did what any compassionate bird owner would do. She reached for the hairdryer and blasted the poor little thing with hot air until he dried out. Chippy never knew what hit him. A few days after the trauma, a reporter who had initially written about this event contacted Chippy's owner to see how the bird was recovering. Well, the owner replied, Chippy doesn't sing much anymore. He just kind of sits there and stares. Here's why I bring that up. I don't know what shape some of you are in coming here this weekend. I mean, I know you look pretty good on the outside, but if the truth be known, maybe some of you feel a little bit beat up. Maybe some of you feel I got some secrets. Maybe there's some of you sitting there thinking, I hope it's a weekend where I can honestly share some things that are going on in me. Maybe some of you are thinking, I went on this weekend, I know it's a risk, I just hope they don't get too close. Here's what I'll tell you. You and I are as healthy as the secrets we keep. You and I are as healthy as the secrets we keep. So how healthy do you want to be? I want to say this. I also believe this, that many of us are meant for more, and we keep settling for less. And I need men around me who call the best out of me, who want what I think God wants for us, and won't let us settle. So this weekend, I'm really great if you go home a little unsettled. In a good way. If you're scratching your head going, man, that was so helpful, that conversation I had just walking out by the lake. The most important thing may not be sitting in these times that we have together. It might be a conversation with a brother. Like, make the most of it. But I'm going to ask you to do something you've never done to this point in your life. And I'm going to ask you not to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to give you a Maryland State version of a death certificate. I'm going to ask you to fill it out. And here's why I know you've never done it. You've never had to do it on yourself yet. And so here's what you get to do. Here's what's unique about this. I don't want you talking to other guys about it or whatever, but what I'd love you to do is fill this out. Here's the unique thing about this. You actually get to decide two things. One, when you die, and what you die of. How about that? I want you just to take a minute, and as you're filling this out, I want you just to think about the reality of what you're doing. I want you to literally write your name in it. And you don't have to fill all the stuff out. We don't have time. I want to give you a couple minutes, but I at least want you to write your name. Just write your name down. And then I'd love for you to write down the date and what you think it might go from. And just give it a word. There might be a few extras. I think I made 65 copies, so there should be enough. It will make you uncomfortable. Huh? Just take a couple minutes. Anybody need a pen? Take about another minute or so, gentlemen. got another 30 seconds. Okay, let's stop. Let me ask you. Did you guys get to? Just in general, I want our times together to be interactive too. So, what's going to go through your head as you're doing this? I mean, anything. There's no right or wrong answer. But let's take just go anything. What's going through your head? Huh?
It's like mad and surreal outside.
It's kind of surreal. Feel a little outside yourself. Thinking that one day one of those things is actually going to be for you. Yeah. Anybody else? A little sobering? Yeah.
Current life choices and how they play into how I might die.
Wow. Your current life choices and how they can actually play in to how you might die. I like this too. Current life choices and how they might play in to how you're actually living.
Yes.
Yeah, that's big. How about maybe one or two more? That's good.
How about your relationships?
Excuse me?
Your relationships.
Just say more about that. What was your first name again?
Trevor.
Trevor. What do you mean
Making the name of a mother,
Yeah. Your life impacts a lot of people, doesn't it? You ever think about that? Like when your life ends, some people are going to be impacted by that. Don't forget, that's huge. How about one more?
How long do you want to live?
How long do you want to live? I mean, that's interesting. Somebody's like, yeah, I may like get out of here soon. Things ain't all that great. Who knows? Yeah.
what legacy will I leave?
What legacy will I leave? How many of you have known somebody, this is a crazy goose, that you've actually loved that's died? You know this, right? My dad would have turned 92 today. He died 20 years ago. You'll learn more about this as the weekend goes on. My mom and he got divorced when I was 7. I never lived another day of my life with my dad. That impacted my life. But you know one person I think about almost every day of my life is who? My dad. Now here's the crazy thing. You know, if this is when we die, kind of go behind, if you will, the Celtics call it the thin place. You know, and you quote, just thinking about this, on the other side of life, what do you think my thoughts of my dad are now that he's dead? Where do you think those thoughts came from? How do you think I think of my dad now that he's actually passed away? Where do those thoughts come from?
Your memories.
From my memories. And my memories are rooted in what?
Experience.
My experiences, which actually took place when?
In the past.
In the past, when he was actually
Alive.
So here's crazy. Your life is going to speak from both sides of the grave, brothers. Whether you think of it or not, and you actually have a say in it. You actually have a say. Like, there are things that my dad did to this day. I am forever grateful. My dad was an avid outdoorsman, used to hunt and fish. I'll tell you more about this tomorrow morning, but he was one of the only dads, when guys were going hunting and fishing, when he went with his buddies, the only little kid who went out of all those men who had sons was me. I think about that all the time, but then there's other things that I think about that didn't occur. I don't think my dad tried to get it wrong. I don't think any of us in this room or dads tried to get it wrong, right? No dad gets up in the morning and goes, you know, today, I'm going to try to get it wrong. I'm going to try to mess my kid up. You know, like, that's what I'm going to try to do today. Like, sometimes you don't always get it right, but you're not trying to get it wrong. So I just want us to begin to say this, that the reason I had us think about this, and I didn't know any other way to get you to feel it and think about it a little bit, that one day, unless the Lord would come again, that something's going to get filled out on you and on me that's going to mark a moment that we will take our last breath this side of glory, and we're going to leave a legacy or a mark that's relational, and what people think of us is going to actually be rooted in how they've experienced us now. So let me put it to you another way. I want to use another illustration, and we'll look at the passage of Scripture in a little bit. Al looked at me earlier and goes, man, I'm kind of anxious to know what that pipe's about. No, I'm not a plumber, trust me. I'm not real good with that kind of stuff. But I want you to think about this for a minute. What do you guys, what do you use a pipe for? Don't get too complicated on this either. This is a simple illustration. You know, oh, I know he's looking for something. Not really. Like, what's the purpose of a pipe? Yeah. want you to imagine that this represents your life and my life. And let me put it to you this way. There's actual stuff that goes into your life, right? And there's actually stuff coming out. Whether you see it or not, other people do. And it doesn't just go in and out, as you see in a minute. It actually goes in and goes someplace in us, gets processed, and then goes out. So I asked a group of men this a number of years ago. I said, hey, look, I want you just to ask some people how they experience you. In essence, what's coming out of your life? Like, is it joy? Is it greed? Is it kindness? Is it compassion? Is it worry? Is it anxiety? Is it powering up on people? Like, what is it? And this one guy in the back of the room said, hey, I'm going to ask 3 people this week, and I'll come back, and I'll tell everybody what the answer to that question was next week. And in my mind, I'm going, really, dude? So he comes back the next week, and here's what he said. He goes, I asked 3 people. I go, do you want to share it? He goes, yeah, I'll share it. I go, who'd you ask? He goes, well, I asked an employee. He had his own small company. He asked his daughter and his wife. And the employee in his company said, you're a really pretty good guy most of the time. You're a really pretty good guy. I said, well, that's good. You pay them. That's good. I figured they're not going to say anything. He goes, then I asked my daughter. And she's 11 or 12 years old. And she said, Dad, most of the time, you're really great except when you get mad. And when you get mad, you really scare me. And then his wife said, do you really want me to answer this question? He goes, yes. She said, okay, you're a pain in the ass, and I'd like a divorce. Wow. And they're divorced today. Did you think that happened overnight? I would say this, that what was coming out of that man's life may have gone into his life 35 years before it ever came out. In the way that it came out. Because, see, he wasn't overly paying attention. He didn't get married to not have his marriage work. And this isn't a condemnation if there's any of us here who are in the same position. All I'm trying to say is this. What kind of life are you building? Let me put it to you another way. What kind of life do you want? Dallas Willard said it this way. Every one of us is becoming a certain kind of person. It's not if, it's just what kind of person are you becoming. That's powerful, isn't it? Or in essence, formation is unavoidable. Every person is becoming a certain kind of person. It isn't just if, it's what kind of person are you actually becoming. People say, that's just who I am, man. You just got to live with it. So like, you weren't born that way. You weren't born being a butthead. And here's what I learned about people. A friend of mine who works in the senior living and that whole arena, he says, what we found is this. If people are mean when they're 40s or 50s, they get really mean when they get older. And if they're nice or kind and aware and gentle when they're in that age frame, usually when they get older, they're even way more like that. See, formation isn't out there. You don't stop. So let me ask you, what kind of man do you want to be? Maybe a better question is, what kind of man do you envision that God wants you to be? I want to mention to you guys, before we look at a passage of Scripture, something that's really important. And that is, why do you think we do the things that we do? The action. Why do you think you actually do what you do? Any thoughts about that? See, you're overthinking it already, right? Let me put it to you a different way. How many of you have actually done something that you know is wrong, and you did it anyway? I'll go first. Okay. Look around the room. Come on, man. Let's all over here. Okay, we're looking around a room of a bunch of men who are basically saying, yeah, dude, I knew stuff that was wrong, and I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong before I did it, and I did it anyway. So if we look at one of us and go, hey, come on now. Why would you do something, John, that you knew was wrong, but you did it anyway? Chris, come on. You lost your mind. You go, I don't know. You raise your hand too. Like, why would you do something question is, don't overthink it. We wanted to. You actually desired it. Like you desired to do something wrong more than you wanted. Or you were concerned about the consequence. You were willing to take the consequence, but you wanted what you wanted when you wanted. Now here's the crazy thing about life. Desire is a powerful thing, isn't it? It's not going away. You can't get rid of it. And here's a reason. It actually came from someplace. You know why you and I actually exist? It wasn't because God was bored. It wasn't because the Father looked at the Son and go, what should we do to prove ourselves? Holy Spirit, you want to weigh in on this? We're going to come up with something quick. The Father, Son, and the Spirit, imagine this, if something was so rich, so beautiful, so profound, so wonderful that they actually wanted to create something with the capacity to experience all that they experienced. And so they created us in their image because they actually wanted us. And if we're made in His image, to want is not evil. It's to be like God in many ways. Our problem is with the garden in chapter 3 of Genesis, we'll talk about this tomorrow, our wants got misdirected. And so the greatest tension of life is learning to order your loves. We were created to love the most the one who loved us the most. He alone defines our sense of who we really are. But when we don't know that, or we only kind of believe that, then we begin to seek our identity in what we do. I heard a man say last week, you ask most men, who are you? And they will tell you what they do. He said, I didn't ask you what you did. I asked you who you are. Yeah, but you don't understand. Like, no. Like, if you had to strip away your titles, your job, tell me, who are you? What do you want? What do you long for? And here's why I say this. I feel for so many believers, this journey is to be a dynamic encounter with a person. If you're here today and you fall in love with a person who loves you more than any other, his name is Jesus Christ, you're in love with a first century Jewish rabbi. You know that, right? You're not in love with a Christian. If you guys want me to leave tonight, I will. But I'm just telling you, Jesus didn't come to bring Christianity. Because if He was coming to bring Christianity, He should have used the words. What He came to bring was something much bigger and better. And you know what it's called? 100 times in the Gospels He used it. It's actually called the kingdom of God. And you can go anywhere in the world and talk about it. You can't go anywhere in the world and talk about Christianity. And I'm not smashing Christianity. It's kind of crazy. Even Jesus never even asked anybody to be a Christian. You go, what? I know that, but reading the Gospels, you find one place where Jesus asked anybody to be a Christian. I think He asked them for way more. Because if you ask people, are you a Christian? They go, oh yeah. Are you a follower of Jesus? Heck no. You're a Christian? Yeah. I mean, like, you root your life in this person of Jesus, and you're trying to see life from His perspective of what He wants. No. Heck no. Jesus said, you're a disciple, which means student, that you learn to walk as I walk, live as I live, think as I think. You're a believer. Back then, it meant way more than what we often say today. And so all I'm trying to do is, I believe this, that we've taken this journey, this desire of God for our hearts to long for Him, and we've turned it into an exercise of behavior modification. And we're not very good at it. So let me prove it to you. How many of you know 2 Corinthians 5:17? If you've learned any verse in the Bible, you know this one, even if you don't know it. And it's almost as good as John 3:16. And it says this. Therefore, if you know it, you can repeat it with me. If anyone is in Christ, they are of. The old is past. Behold, the. Okay. Do you guys believe that?
Yeah.
I do too. But let me ask you if that's true. Do you guys ever still do old? Let me ask that one more time. Do you ever do old? Yeah, me too. And so here's what happens. See, here's what we do. We have somebody that's kind of new in the faith, and we say this, oh man, therefore if anyone is in Christ, they're a new creation, all is past, and the new is coming. And we go, oh, great. And then you go home, And it's like, yeah, I heard that verse, but I still like some of that old stuff. Or I still have thoughts going through my head that I don't think are supposed to be there. And I'm not trying to have them, but they're there. Does it make any sense to you guys? Like I had some thoughts today. I don't know where they came from. I actually read the Bible this morning and still had some crazy thoughts a couple hours later. I didn't have to dial them up. I'm like, what do I do? Like, what was going on? And see, if we're not careful, here's what we do. We don't explain how change occurs to people. It's like you are new, but you're also becoming new. Sanctification is a process of you and me learning to see ourselves and live the way Jesus Christ already sees us, Al. But here's what happens if we get this thing screwed up. It all starts with Jesus and His grace and mercy and ends up with us and our efforts. And we keep trying harder, and eventually it's like, man, I know I'm new, but I keep doing some old crazy stuff, and I keep feeling prone to be pushed back, and I got some silent stuff and crazy stuff I don't want people to know about. I guess I'm just not that good in following Jesus. And we got people that quit. You know, everybody that starts his faith journey ends it. You know that, right? One of my favorite verses is in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, and it says this, and these who lived in faith also died in faith. I just don't want to live in faith. I want to go across the finish line and actually die in faith. Because I think honestly, if I went around the room right now and said, hey, how many of you really feel like God is a little bit disappointed in you? I mean, anybody want to raise your hand? No, would anybody be vulnerable enough to say why you feel that? I mean, we all could say that, but anybody want to say why you feel that?
Parenting.
You what? Parenting. You just don't get it right, Andrew?
Don't get it right.
You don't get it right. You just, maybe you're not the kind of dad God wants you to be. Maybe you don't pray enough for your kids. I don't know, whatever. Lost your temper last week. Yeah. Hey, you guys ever feel, yeah?
Squandering time and
Wasting time, potential. And you guys feel bad about how much you pray or don't pray? Do you ever feel like you pray enough? I mean, I hate this question. How's your prayer life? I don't know. I'm praying. I don't know. Like, how do I know I'm supposed to be good or bad? Like, well, when these guys used to live, they used to get up 4 hours before they would go to bed. They would pray all night. I'm going, whoa! Is that where we're starting? We're starting there. Like, really? Like, I'm praying as much as I know. The Bible doesn't say get up before dawn and pray 4 hours. It says pray without ceasing. I want to learn how to do that. And I'm not against the 4 o'clock in the morning thing. All I'm saying is, you read your Bible enough? Do you give enough money? Did you have some lustful thoughts this week? See, here's my point. If we don't know where to put this stuff, you guys, we live a life limping. And here's what you need to say to the next person that you lead to Jesus, if God ever lets you do it. Say this to them. Hey, look, following Jesus is an amazing ride. But in 2 years, you'll feel worse about yourself than you've ever felt in your entire life. Because, see, religious guilt is unbelievable guilt. You can't get away from it. And yet when I read the scriptures, I've heard that Jesus Christ literally cleanses me. That I can bring the crap in my life to Him. And He goes, I get it. We're going to work on it. But I'm not keeping score like you're used to keeping score. Because you've been taught to keep score from the moment you were born. And you can't be born in this country without getting an APGAR score. You're not even out of the womb for 2 minutes before you get a score. And I get it, but you're a percentile. You can't go to school without being in a certain grade level, fast class, slow class. I learned in Baltimore, it's like lacrosse mecca. They've almost canned rec leagues. You go right into club teams now. Kids are getting picked for colleges when they're 13. It's nuts. Maybe you're the guy that didn't get a date, I only applied to one college. It's the one I knew I could get into, honestly. And I see that what goes into our life, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, actually goes someplace, and it's a profound word, and it's this word in Scripture called the heart. In the Greek, this word is called cardia. What does cardia sound like? Cardiac. Yeah. And the crazy thing about the heart, it's mentioned over 800 times in the Bible, if you do anything, I'll give you a little clue about studying. When something's repeated, it's important. 800 times says, listen to this. You know where your heart's located? It's not over here. Is there any doctors? It's right in the core. It's in the center of your being. It's right here. It's in the core. The Hebrews thought of it this way as it's sort of the internal control panel of your life. But let me draw it for you, and I think this is important. This is an illustration that I love and use as often as I can. And this is my rendition of a terrible-looking iceberg. This will make a lot more sense to you guys over the weekend. But this is important. Because how much of an iceberg do you actually see? 10 to 15%, right? Which means how much don't you see? 85 to 90. This is for you math majors. You guys are doing really, really well. This part that you see, what's the part that sunk the Titanic that cost people a lot of their lives? The whole part. So, it's interesting. I would say this is what's visible above the waterline. This would be behavior. This is our public life. You with me so far? Yep. I would say this gets about 90% of the attention. And for many people, this is, I think, why they don't want in on this person called Jesus Christ. Because they think it's all about whether they cuss, whether they sleep around, how much they can drink, whatever they can do. And we've kind of introduced Jesus as a behavior modification model instead of someone that you get to know who actually created you because he desires you and wants you, and that your whole life begins to make sense when it gets connected to him. Because everything is made through and for Jesus Christ. Paul says this in Colossians 1:15. But for so many people, knowing Jesus is just above the waterline. It's like, man, I got to try harder. I got to go doing all that stuff. I got to go time. It's all great. It's just so much effort. I don't think God's against effort. He is against earning. And I think many of us, if we're honest, God's disappointed in me. So what can I do to earn his affection again? What if you can't earn it? The only way you get it is when he gives it. And what we do, we keep trying to change the rules. To our demise. When Jesus said, there's really a better way. And it's this. When your heart gets controlled by something different, it changes your behavior. So let me illustrate this one. Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verses 43 to 46, these words. He says, now a thorn tree doesn't produce figs. And a fig tree doesn't produce thorns. Each tree produces after its own fruit. And then he says this, the good man, out of the good stored up in his heart, brings forth what is imagine that. And the evil man, out of the evil stored up in his heart, brings forth what is what? And then he says this, each tree produces after its own fruit. And then he says in another place, the mouth speaks from that which fills the... Have any of you seen somebody have a verbal, vomiting, explosive moment? Have you ever seen that? When somebody just kind of go like, and just blow up and everybody going like, and they're reacting to this behavior above the waterline. But nobody's thinking, Jesus said, well, that's it. You can spend your time up there. That's not going to change much. You've got to figure out what's going on down here. Because this comes from this. Proverbs 4:23 says this, watch over with all mediocrity, with all diligence, because from your heart flows the springs of life. See, in Mark chapter 2, verse 8, Jesus said this about the teachers. Jesus looks at them and goes, knowing what they were thinking in their hearts. How do you think with your heart? I thought you thought with your brain. It didn't say, Jesus, knowing they were thinking in their brain, said, fellas, you need to get thinking differently. It said, no, Jesus, knowing they were thinking in their hearts. Because, see, the heart is much more in the Hebrew mind. It's different. The heart for the Hebrew is the control panel. It's the CEO of your life. It's where your desires and your will and your emotions and your thoughts converge. It's not one-dimensional. Greek thinking says you think with your head, you feel with your heart, you touch with your hands. Hebrews says, no, you're a whole person. It's not diminishing your brain to think. But what it's saying is this heart, this is a place of convergence. It's where everything comes together. And this thing, you give it time. It is going public, baby. It's going public. And so you want to know why certain things come out of people's pipe? The way they do in their life? It's because something's going on down here. And sometimes we don't even understand it because we've never taken the time to look at it. This is why changing is so hard, because see, we want to do it too quickly. We want to throw formulas at people instead of saying, well, I'm not so much worried about your behavior. For years in Young Life, I've been on Young Life staff 40 years, full or part-time. And, at our camps, we've worked with some pretty out there kids. And there have been, quote, Christians who go, you let those kids come to this? Like, oh, really? Like, we got kids much worse than that. I mean, we got actually kids at a Young Life Club that sits in some people's homes like yours who actually are sleeping around and selling drugs. What? Jesus was actually a friend of sinners. He actually went to seek and save the lost. Did you just hear what you said? He went to seek and save the lost. He was actually a friend. In that culture, a friend means somebody spent time, a friend of broken people. They see people smoking, I got smoking over there. Like, really? That's an issue? Like, in essence, we want people to act like us when they're hard getting around us. See, Jesus won people's hearts. You notice that, right? So here's what happened in Mark chapter 7. Let's contemporize it a little bit. Jesus goes into the public square. And they're mixing it up in the marketplace where there's Gentiles and not all Hebrews. But when you get in the marketplace, if you eat without washing your hands, that's a problem. Because see, good Hebrews had a thing called the Tohara laws. It's 200 pages of cleanliness laws that had to do with pots and pans and how they had to be washed and how you had to wash them and even how you had to wash your own hands and even how far water could go down your arms. With, I think, a good intent to want to please God, but eventually the behavior took over the essence. And so Jesus' disciples begin to eat after they've gone into public and they don't use Pro Cleaner. They don't wash their hands and they're starting to eat. And the teachers of the law get pretty upset about this and they begin to confront Jesus about his disciples eating with unclean hands. And Jesus takes a passage out of Isaiah and he says, "You all honor me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. You teach as the laws of God, the traditions of men." And he goes on and says, "I care about cleanliness too, but if you're really concerned about cleanliness, dirt that you get on your hands, God's actually had a way of taking care of that. It goes into your body and it gets rid of itself." And then in verse 21 he says this. He goes, "All these things come from within a man and make him unclean. Sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, theft, slander, and envy. All these things come from within a man, out of his heart, and make a man unclean." In essence, I think what Jesus is saying to us is, if you guys are worried about cleaning hands, and you're really concerned about cleanliness, you need to think bigger about where it's really coming from. Because you're treating symptoms and not issues. Our behavior doesn't come from a vacuum. Let me put it another way. We always sin internally before we ever sin externally. What was the sin of the garden in chapter 3 of Genesis? What do most people say? What was the first sin? Adam and Eve did what?
Ate the
They
fruit.
ate the garden. I go, wrong. See, that's behavior focused. They ate the garden. Adam and Eve did something way before they ever ate the garden. Their behavior didn't happen in a vacuum. They didn't want the most, the one who wanted them the most. What they did before then, they overvalued themselves and undervalued God. To the point where the evil one made them think, God's holding out on you. I cannot trust him. I will take matters into my own hands, and became self-idolaters. And when that thing grabbed their heart, then they acted. This is true for every one of us. And so what I want to encourage us in, guys, is this. I want to change. I want to keep growing as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a dad, as a granddad, as a friend. I live in Baltimore City. My son is on Young Life staff in Baltimore City. And my daughter-in-law. You know, I've fallen in love with some young boys in Baltimore City through my son that I've gotten to know. I got a city that I care deeply about, that I think God does. And I think God wants to begin to use His people to bring healing. But I know this, we're going to only bring healing to the degree that we are actually in the process ourselves. And we are in process. So let me tell you, I was sharing some things one night, and this guy came up to me when I was done. He goes, you know, I was talking about a caterpillar. And this whole vision of metamorphosis. You know what metamorphosis means? It means what? Change. And one of the best illustrations is a caterpillar going to a butterfly. And so I want to show you a picture of this in closing, because there's kind of a lead in to tomorrow a little bit. But this man came up to me and he goes, hey, I want to tell you something I bet you don't know. I go, listen, that won't take much, trust me. Like, I know, you can tell me stuff I don't know. And he goes, do you know what the DNA of a butterfly is? I go, I should have seen this coming, but I go, I don't know, but I think you're going to tell me. He goes, yeah, I am. Because the DNA of a butterfly is that, the DNA of a caterpillar, what's that? And he goes, the DNA of a caterpillar is a butterfly. It just needs time to actually become what it is. I would say this to you. I think Jesus Christ sees us differently than we even see ourselves. Your life, Paul says in Colossians 3, is hidden with God in Christ. And when Christ, who is your life, appears, you will also appear with Him. Isn't that awesome? You see, a lot of times we don't see ourselves as our life hidden in Christ. We're just guys that don't pray enough. We're guys that don't give enough. We're guys that still have lustful thoughts. And we think, man, God, you got to be disappointed in me. So what I got to do is try harder. What if I told you change to the degree you know your love? What if still always working up here? And I'm not saying this doesn't have a part. We'll talk about that. But then we started thinking about this, that maybe if this heart got more consumed with the reality of the love of Jesus Christ, that if the Scriptures are true, then this will actually produce this in the right way, and you'll do it. You know why? Because it's who you are. You can't not do it. You cannot do it. A good tree doesn't produce bad fruit, and vice versa. Each tree produces what it is. And so I want to just encourage us to think about this. And here's what I encourage you to think about tonight. We get in our groups for just a few minutes. I would encourage you to think, do you struggle with this vision of feeling like God's disappointed in you? And if so, why? And if you were honest, do you feel like this heart of yours has really been constrained by the love of Christ? Are you more kind of just overwhelmed by the mercy of what God's done, or do you find yourself trying to have to keep proving yourself? Just spend some time talking about that. We're going to end. I want to show you just a little clip of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And just let it get in there. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about how does this thing get shaped. Because I'm going to tell you this. Every heart doesn't look this pretty, including mine. We're going to talk about that tomorrow morning. Just enjoy this for a little bit. Just take about a minute. fly. It needs to struggle to fly. See, every one of us become a certain kind of person. It's not if, it's just what kind. Heavenly Father, thank you for your word. It tells us, Lord, that we really are new in you. The old has passed away, so Father, would you help us understand how we can be new and yet still struggle with something that you said has passed away. Father, we need your insight. We trust you that the state of our heart will determine the reality of our life. And so help us, Lord, over these moments and days or so that we have together to be willing and daring enough to go there, that we can actually begin to live more into the people that you say we are, to the glory of your name. Amen. Thank you, gentlemen. You've been very, very kind, and God willing, we'll get after it some more in the morning. Amen.